Last year I reviewed both the original Tekken and Tekken 2. If you saw those videos, you know that my first Tekken experience was a demo of Tekken 3. You could only play as 2 characters, but me and my brother played that demo religiously. Imagine how excited we were when we finally got the full game in the late 90s, along with Tekken 2. It was released for the PlayStation in 1998 and based on the arcade game from 97.
This became my go-to fighting game for many years to come, and I keep revisiting it. Knowing where the series started and how the second game improved on the original, how does the third game compare to its prequels? Is it still as impressive as it was 24 years ago? Let's see if the final Tekken game on PlayStation takes the crown or deserves to be thrown into a volcano.
GFrom, the gamer, the legend, he's come to show you the way in this world of games. GFrom reviews.
Tekken 3 has one of the most kick-ass openings of its era with another montage of all the starting characters. It's very impressive for the time and I must have watched it at least 7 million times. It blew me away as a kid. Even today it gets me all fired up and ready to play the game thanks to the awesome soundtrack. Still dope in 2022. Every mode from Tekken 2 returns, these being arcade, versus, team battle, time attack, survival and practice. 2 new modes have been added as well. Tekken Force is basically Streets of Rage Tekken Edition. More on that mode later. Tekken Ball is an unlockable mode. If you ever wanted to kick a beach ball into Paul's face, this is the mode for you. There are 3 balls to choose from which cause different amounts of damage. The goal is to either hit your opponent with the ball or get it behind him. It's not a mode you will find yourself playing very much, but in short bursts it can be fun. I actually remember playing this in a store against a random kid. If I remember correctly, I lost and it left behind some scars.
I don't know who you are. I have a very particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a very long career. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will beat you in Tekken Ball.
There are 21 characters in this game, 23 if you count 2 hidden ones that are basically just palette swaps. Shockingly, only 6 characters from Tekken 2 return. Why is that, you ask?
Tekken 3 takes place 15 years after the second game, so many of the 19 characters missing are dead. That's depressing.
Also, this is the only game in the main series without Kazuya Mishima, Martial Law and Li Chaolan. Heihachi is an old man now, but in better shape than ever. On the other hand, that means we have 17 new characters. In this game they aren't unlocked by a specific character like in the previous entries. Instead, most of them are unlocked in a specific order. The first time you beat the arcade mode you always unlock Kuma, the second time Julia, and so on. Let's introduce the new characters.
Jin Kazama is the main character in this game.
He is the son of the now deceased Kazuya Mishima and Jun Kazama. That makes Heihachi his grandfather. Jun supposedly got killed by Ogre and Jin wants revenge. I guess he wants to throw him off a cliff. Jin is my least favorite starting character. He feels a bit slower than most of the others and I could never get into his fighting style.
Ling Xiaoyu is the student of Wang Jinrei who goes to the Mishima Polytechnical School.
She was one of the 2 playable fighters in the demo and therefore I've probably played as her more than any other. To this day she's my favorite Tekken character with her quick martial arts style of fighting.
Forest Law is the son of Martial Law. In the main series, he is only playable in this game.
Although you play as his father in every other Tekken, Forest first comes to mind when I think of Law. His first appearance was a cutscene in the original. Now he's back and he plays a lot better than Marshall. I love doing backflips to annoy my opponents. Unleash your inner spider monkey if you really want to drive them insane. But I kind of missed the battle cries from Tekken 2.
Hwoarang is the student of Baekdo-san and he really hates Jin.
He is one of the best in the game with quick footwork and some badass kicks in his repertoire. I never understood what the point of some of his funky dance moves are. Just fucking punch him already, you goofball.
King is not the same King as in the prequels. The original King got killed by Ogre.
This new dude imitates his wrestling style and was even trained by Armor King. He never has been one of my favorites, but I have to say that he plays much better than the first King.
Eddy Gordo is probably the most infamous of them all.
As a kid, I thought he was a breakdancer, but his style is actually called capoeira. His moves are super easy to pull off and that makes him dangerous. Good for whoever plays as him, not so much for the opponent. Often when we played Tekken back then, we banned Eddy because picking him was considered cheating. Good times. Now onto the unlockable characters.
Tiger Jackson is a texture swap of Eddy Gordo and he plays exactly the same.
He is unlocked by beating the arcade mode with 17 different characters including Eddy. Back then I discovered him by pure accident. I love the look and dig his style of music.
Kuma is the son of the original Kuma who has died of old age. Poor bear.
Just like his father, he is the bodyguard of Heihachi. Also, he is madly in love with Panda, another playable character. It's absurd how much better he looks than the lumpy original Kuma. Yes, these are all on the same system. Back then I never liked playing as the bears, but now I think they are brutal and a lot of fun.
Panda is a goddamn panda and a texture swap of Kuma. Great name, by the way.
She is the pet of Xiaoyu and not interested in Kuma whatsoever. Straight up rejection. It happens with people and it happens with bears, I guess. I've played as Panda more often than Kuma because I mostly use X to select a character. I never understood why you get the primary costumes with a square and triangle.
Julia Chang is the adopted daughter of Michelle Chang, who was my go-to gal in Tekken 2.
She has pretty much the same moves as Michelle, but for some weird reason I rarely play as her. I guess her moveset doesn't work for me as great in this much faster sequel.
Gun Jack is my preferred version of Jack.
Just like Prototype Jack, he can fly. As the name suggests, this robot has guns and I feel so powerful. Whereas the previous versions were slow as ass, this one plays much smoother and I don't feel like a useless tin can anymore. After playing as him 10 times, you unlock an outfit from Jack 2.
Mokujin is a fucking wooden training dummy, a glorified version of Pinocchio.
The awakening of Ogre caused this dummy to wake up too. Mokujin has no fighting style of his own. Instead, he imitates almost every other character. Exceptions are Ogre, True Ogre, Gon, Dr. B, and Anna. Why Anna? After every round he changes his style. As ridiculous as he is, this makes him an interesting pick as you never know who you're going to play as.
Bryan Fury is a kickboxing cyborg and also kind of a psychopath.
His ruthless, no mercy style of fighting makes him a dangerous son of a bitch. He is my go-to character in Tekken Force. It's frightening how much enjoyment I get out of beating the shit out of everybody. How is it fair for him to enter the tournament if a fucking tank can't stop him?
Ogre is the final boss. Or is he?
He is the god of fighting, who kills and absorbs the abilities of fighters all over the world. Being the murderer of Jun and King, it's safe to say everybody hates him. Heihachi uses the competitors of the Iron Fist tournament as bait to lure Ogre out into the open. Of all the final bosses in the series, I like this one the most. He is not overpowered or oversized like some of the later bosses, but still manages to be mysterious. After defeating him, he absorbs stage 9 boss Heihachi's or Jin's power to become...
True Ogre is the true final boss. This thing is horrifying.
No kidding, an abomination. Not only is it a fire-breathing beast with wings, it has
snake arms.
Whenever you pick him, any stage turns black. I find him to be the easiest final boss in the series, but I don't really need a boss as hard as Heihachi in Tekken 1, so I'm good. It's fun to play as True Ogre, even if breathing fire is kind of OP.
Gun is the smallest character in the entire franchise and somewhat of an oddity.
I remember seeing a Gon comic in Stockholm around the turn of the century. He even had a game on the Super Famicom and later a Japan exclusive game on 3DS. He only appears in Tekken 3 and will most likely never return due to licensing issues. Gun is unlocked by defeating him in Tekken Ball. It can be fun to play as him and he has some attacks that the mature, sophisticated kids just love. Playing against Gon is the worst and I hate it. Well, not the worst.
Dr. Boskanovich is the weirdest wacko in the game. That's saying something.
You can unlock him by beating Tekken Force. 4 times. And then you also have to beat him. I struggled to defeat him and had to replay all 4 levels many times as a result. The frail doctor tends to fall over constantly, making it hard to land a hit. On the other hand, I can't control this dude for shit, so overall I think this is the worst fighter of them all. Or in other words, it's the only downright unplayable one in my opinion. This might be a good time to talk in more detail about Tekken Force mode. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up where we have to beat the crap out of Heihachi's entire Tekken Force. There are 4 levels and the enemies become stronger as you progress. Along the way you will find chicken which restores your health, cause that's what happens when you eat stuff you find on the ground. Your parents were lying to you about protein and stuff. At the end of the first 3 stages you have to fight a mini-boss. These vary depending on the character you play as. At the end of the 4th stage you always fight Heihachi. Unless you're Heihachi, then you fight Jin. Beating all 4 stages rewards you with a key. After beating the game 3 times you have 3 keys. Now you have to beat this mode a 4th time and defeat Dr. B. This mode might look like quite a lot of fun and it can be in short bursts. I have several problems with it though. Moving vertically is awkward. You can only really walk horizontally. To move up or down all you can do is sidestep and that's a pain in the ass if you're trying to get some chicken. Aiming at enemies can be frustrating as well, especially when there's more than one on screen. Often they linger outside of the visible area, so I can't get to them and I have to lure them in. Hate that. The time limit is a bitch too. You gain time by defeating enemies, but that doesn't help if I can't reach them. The mini-bosses have a timer displayed over them. Beating them quickly gives you more time for the next stage. But even they tend to wait outside of the screen and loiter around. The time has ran out on me way too often because of that. The biggest offense, however, is that you only have 1 life. If you die in level 4 or at Dr. B, you go all the way back to the beginning. It took me 14 fucking attempts to get Boskonovich, and that's only from the gameplay I recorded. With most characters I can't get very far. I seem to have the most luck with Bryan because he is strong and fast. Dr. B still wrecked me over and over. So how do you beat someone who's lying on the ground all the time? With a tiny farting dinosaur, that's how. I didn't save him, I beat the crap out of him. This was way more frustrating than it should have been. Some characters never return to the main series, so let's say goodbye to all the fighters who had their last playable appearance in this game. Not too many this time. Talking about the core gameplay, Tekken 3 improves on its predecessor in many groundbreaking ways. Finally, it doesn't just look like a 3-dimensional game, but it plays like one too. By tapping up or down you can now sidestep, making it easier to dodge, and it adds complexity to your strategy. That's especially useful when someone is spamming the fire attack with true Ogre. With this feature come different side throws for each character. The throws in general are awesome and one of the best aspects for me. The jump height has been drastically reduced, so it doesn't look like you're bouncing on the goddamn moon anymore. That means jumping isn't surefire anymore, and jump attacks feel more natural. The best aspect for me is the faster gameplay. Coming from the prequels, it feels like the 3rd game is on fucking speed. Or to put it in other words, Tekken 1 and 2 feel stiff as hell after playing 3. Movement is much more fluid, and best of all, the recovery time is almost non-existent. I hated how long it took to get up before, and thanks to the power of baby Jesus himself, that's not an issue anymore.
I can't emphasize enough how important this change is. For this reason alone, it deserves an award.
The few old and matured characters learned a bunch of new moves, which you once again can check out in the pause menu. Again, playing as Lei in Tekken 2 after being used to his awesome moveset here feels wrong. I find it much easier to learn the moves of all these new characters, and that makes it more fun. With the exception of Dr. B, Gon, Anna, and maybe Jin, I feel comfortable with every one of them. Next to Xiaoyu, I really love playing as Lei. Like Dr. B, he spends a lot of time on the floor, but when he does it, it's cool, not sleepy. Hwoarang is another favorite with his awesome kick combos. Eddy Gordo is pretty neat too. There's just something about his style that fascinates me. Plus, I like teasing my opponents with cheap attacks. Don't hate the player, hate the game, brother. Visually, it's also a huge step up. Remember how blocky the fighters looked before? Now they look smoother and well-rounded. We have come a long way. The stages feel smaller in scope, but are more detailed and better overall. A special shout out to the CGI cutscenes. They look amazing. So visually, it is one of the best games on the PS1 in my eyes, and it has aged beautifully. There are only 15 stages as opposed to 23 in Tekken 2. Some characters share a stage, but I don't see that as a problem. There's even a secret stage. By playing as Xiaoyu and Jin 50 times each, you unlock their school uniforms. When you pick that outfit, you can play at their high school. Other secret outfits include Law as Bruce Lee and Anna's... Why?
Oh, baby.
The sound is outstanding. Punches and kicks sound just like they should, and grunts and battle cries are iconic. So is the announcer, who I like to imitate.
Ogre wins.
Ogre wins. I think I prefer the more uplifting announcer from Tekken 2.
Chang wins.
The real star is the music. It has one of the most distinct soundtracks in video game history. When you hear a track from this game, you instantly know it's Tekken 3. It's a rather unusual mix of electronic sounds combined with hard-hitting rock elements, and it flows perfectly together. There's not one bad track on here. For a fighting game, it's a match made in heaven. It keeps you on your toes and pushes you to give everything. The character select music alone is such a classic. I prefer the one from Tekken 2, but it's almost as great. In general, I can say that I prefer individual songs from the second game, but 3 has a much better soundtrack overall. It's the full package. Best of all, every character has their own theme, which adds to their personalities and makes them even more unique. I really missed that in the newer games. It's very difficult to pick my favorites, but I'll give you a quick top 5. Number 5, Eddy's Stage, a laid-back track that reminds me of playing the demo. Number 4, Hwoarang Stage. I love the bass line in this one and the 70s wah effect on the guitar, so funky. Number 3, Bryan Stage. This track sounds like it came from the future, totally crazy and unpredictable, just like Bryan. Number 2, Xiaoyu Stage. A great representation of what this soundtrack stands for. Fun, but also badass. Number 1, Opening. While the visuals are great, the music is what pushes this intro to another level. This is Tekken for me. The difficulty in the arcade mode is toned down compared to the prequels. For casual players, it doesn't feel impossible to unlock characters anymore. I don't see myself as a hardcore Tekken player, so I welcome that. If you want a real challenge, you can always select a higher difficulty. Every character, including the secret ones, have an ending after beating the arcade mode. Some of them share the same video, which is a letdown. Few videos have secret endings that require multiple playthroughs, but they aren't really worth it. Like with Kuma and Panda, for example. Beating the arcade mode with both adds like 2 seconds to a video we've already seen. Or beating it with the older Jack costume also adds just a few seconds. Why even bother? Like in Tekken 2, some cutscenes are weird or pointless, while others are pretty funny. Julia's ending even has real dialogue for some reason.
I'll never let Heihachi get away with this.
Xiaoyu has a cute little anime video, and Mokujin gets to beat his wife on an arcade machine. Be careful what you wish for. Heihachi throws Jin out of a helicopter. For real? What's wrong with this family? Get some group counseling, stat. My favorite ending has to be Gon's. It's an endless loop with funny little moments. Sadly, my disc keeps freezing on this cutscene. Jin has the official ending. He beats True Ogre but gets gunned down by Heihachi in his Tekken Force. Then all of a sudden, Jin turns into his devil form and flies away. So the devil that possessed Kazuya has found his way to Jin. At least Jin doesn't throw Heihachi off the Eiffel Tower or something. I know throwing people to their deaths is super tempting in the Tekken universe, so that shows restraint. You can unlock the theater mode and watch all cutscenes whenever you want. What a luxury! Even cooler is that you can load the discs of Tekken 1 and 2 to watch these cutscenes or listen to their soundtracks as well. That's pretty forward thinking. Who needs internet? Just like with the first two games, the arcade version of Tekken 3 is playable in the arcade history mode of Tekken 5 on the PlayStation 2.
As a side note, I do know that this port isn't arcade perfect, especially when it comes to the music.
We already know the arcade ports were way faster. Believe it or not, that's also true in this case. If you thought the PlayStation version was fast, fasten your seatbelts for this one. It kind of threw me off in the beginning, but I got used to it quickly and had a blast. 20 characters are playable from the very beginning, including Panda and Tiger. Missing are only Gon and Dr. B, who are considered bonus characters anyway, and for some weird reason, Anna. Now I understand why Mokujin can't mimic her.
Those are exactly the 3 characters I don't care for. How did they know?
I beat the game with every character, and even on easy mode it kinda kicked my ass sometimes. It starts off pretty easy, but Ogre is surprisingly difficult. Not true Ogre, who is also called Ogre here, only his first form. I started to get Heihachi flashbacks, but in the end I can't really compare these two. While Ogre is a tough son of a bitch, he is nowhere near as unfair as Heihachi in Tekken 1. Original Heihachi is nightmare fodder, and I wish he didn't exist. Anyway, I just didn't expect it to be this tough, coming from the PlayStation version. Only with Bryan and Heihachi could I beat it without using a continue. As expected by this point, the arcade version has a different soundtrack. In the previous games, the tracks simply got an upgrade on the PlayStation. In this case, that's only true for a few songs like Nina and Jin. The arcade version feels grittier, while the PlayStation sounds cleaner. Most of the background music is completely different, as you will notice at the character selection. It feels weird to hear these new, or should I say old, mixes. Xiaoyu, for example, has a very friendly and happy beginning. King sounds completely different as well. One downside is that almost every unlockable character has the same music. On one occasion I heard this tune 3 stages in a row. It's one of the better tracks, but still disappointing. I'm afraid I have to admit that I'm not too keen on this soundtrack as a whole. It's definitely a step down from Tekken 2, and it sounds like they weren't quite there yet with the electro-rock combo. The PlayStation offers a fuller sound with better fidelity. You can choose between these two soundtracks on the PS1, which is a nice bonus. So while I enjoy the fast gameplay, there is no real reason to play this if you already have the PlayStation port, as you only have the arcade and versus mode with an inferior soundtrack.
Let's wrap this up.
Tekken 3 is a goddamn masterpiece. Since its release, it has been one of my go-to fighting games, and I think it holds up very well. It improves on everything, first and foremost the accessibility. It's such an easy game to pick up and play and just have fun with. I know plenty of people who can't play the old PlayStation games anymore because of the dated graphics and controls. With this game, I don't hear any complaints. Combos are much easier to pull off, the arcade mode is fair, and it has a great character roster. It was a bold move to let it take place 15 years after Tekken 2, eliminating a large chunk of fighters. But the test of time paid off because many have become series regulars and fan favorites. The selection of modes is great, and even though I don't like that you have to beat Tekken Force 4 times, it's still a fun little mode in small doses. Sometimes when I just need something to distract me, I play Team Battle and the world feels right again. For many, this is the pinnacle of the series. I'm not entirely sure about that. I know for a fact that it isn't my most beloved Tekken game. From the games I've reviewed so far, it's obviously the best. In the main series, it's probably number 1 also. Without a doubt, it's one of my most cherished games of all time, and that's coming from someone who isn't the biggest fighting game fan on the planet. I listen to the soundtrack a lot, and every time it reminds me of all the great memories I have playing this game in the late 90s with my dad, my brothers, or with friends after school. I became obsessed with this game, and I remember trying to imitate the moves in the EMBU clip. I'm way too stale for that now. For me, it's the definition of classic and one of the PS1 games I revisit the most.
After all, is there any other game where you can fart an old doctor in the face as a tiny dinosaur? I don't think so.
Hey everyone, this is GFrom. Thank you so much for watching episode 3 of season 2. Feel free to rate, comment, subscribe and follow me on Instagram. I'll see you later. Have a nice day.